yup matie kabino la kelia ye
Medrom pachama ngijani ki prestige margarine ye ki kwene ma pat ma ki yobo ki diero mai rom malamal chalo vanilla ki mukene mapol pere ki mo maporo dok chulo ko down kun tiki vitamin mapol ikine vitamin A, B ki E opore loyo mechamo mugati te dokek ki jamo kene mapol ata prestige margarine, spread it, love it.
Lady Sarah dong penyu pera tutual utio ko choro tin ki good news Sarah mite watch kidogi this good news ki dano mago bunana watin eto ke mo dano kong.
Well, I thought tutual dano when matika ne one TV Emma ichoni ning. It has been long.
Very long, very long. Well, and we know the reasons, but it's okay.
It has been very long. I know enter foil bank kong ma chel kong matin waka kong do anyon studio but waka kany erni dano when matika ne one TV ma food good tuning and you longa Sarah Adong nyinga mapol mi TV madano mi akore tie super lady and kere kodi constituency kama aye nying atie mama zombo yoleng ya Miss Independent nyinga mayanga bedati yukude radio paida for you tie pasho but taking a little bit of leave kite mashik me Uganda meto kode nyake beshi shungu for an elective seat ke work office nyano kado kunangwa tingo public servants but I thought it wise and secondly abedo kamiu ameta mi sawa Karabedi constituency kodano karashelo wanen challenges peka ngon madano be facing so dano mutie paida town council alangi kango zeu kakane gicheke nyapea abanga sub county maneno wandu TV wa foyo kanene watin eni wabishinyamo lembe maduong musago nemo mako kumleme pa bini pa president Yoweri Museveni I West Nile asaga ne Zombo district and northern Uganda at large afoyo
about it well jamagu berika penyi for so many months super lady tikwe dong en anotero why in speculation it's live congratulations one we're taking pride madani one of our own is stepping into those big shoes
and maybe to add on officially the Democratic Party chario kimina ticket
yes
endorsing my candidate officially me charo representing the party at the national elections as an aspirant for the woman member of parliament me Zombo district or the people of Zombo district now the next is done the electoral commission because processes me cholo chianta I can confirm I've already paid my nomination fee.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I've already paid the 3 million shillings at Choloka. And now next is to go to electoral commission can earn certificate of verification manyorni icholo chante because you pay to the bank and then EC has to give you that certificate. Now you go with it to the electoral commission to the returning officer to nominate on Wednesday.
And then la dir biya bakamanda wo malatika wachine ni mandatory mirachol 3 million. So other than non-refundable. Wacheki yom age madani our very own is out there trying to nano ne chobolok pe loga kan inano let's put ourselves out there to get solutions. So we are praying for you Sarah. Yes. So kongda mi rong wanywak lok the real issues on ground era mapia wanywak lok the real issues I mean ilawo lok mukata makubedi downwent ka lok na ye top the dear Raila Amolo Odinga ma en bela chumi bi chalo in for so many years he's shaped the politics of Kenya
and Africa
as a whole, yes, Africa as a whole. You Raila Odinga, but you are not lucky to have met him.
I was so unfortunate, I could say, because the same time Raila Odinga berutie Addis Ababa Mwaramukaro, I was at the African Union for state duties, alone in state duties, because I basically went to represent Uganda. And the second time, the second thing is that Raila Odinga ben nuoti konotika yenyo kui me bere won kompa African Union Commission chairperson, which unfortunately he lost that seat. He didn't win it. And so I was there to watch the debate, Mamegi. Kept more debating, and there were so many politics at play. So nino eni no wacheke mabe kitimpa Raila Odinga because conference ma chair ene kilone the young women conference for young women in Africa mo chair here sar wate kilo chwak Raila Odinga maki aki Kenya and most of them are in ODM and they were also in that conference. So Gian Gucher as an advanced team no giteka ko Raila o and then they go together. So Rwate Ket Ki Waloro hotel Maraila Gengu Bere was not very far away from the hotel Mano Anati checked in. Unfortunately, Chairman Atamino Rwate Kere and Bena had another engagement to go and finish up at the African Union. So I ended up not meeting him physically. Ento a lock team Raila Odinga. I can tell you Gianachel ma ananeno Raila Otiemo kong ma achel kong mijingu chindano ma rio fonyo jone ki politics ma tectual politics me maro Africa. And one of the questions man aker koge why ni man Raila uchung chencha ki Ruto and one when what winyu ni allegations beretie ni queer pa Raila doki kwala for the 5th time. So how come ni Ruto anecdotica endorsing candidature pa Raila Odinga meberu chairperson pa African Union Commission?
That's the irony of politics.
Yes, and that's politics for you guys.
Yes.
So one Odano Motamani politics is for enmity. No. Today you can find me and Honorable Fowichan, who is my opponent, in the next sequence rallying together on the same table, discussing on issues. So now Raila jo ergo wachani ma chel kongen kinerni it was a trick of kicking Raila away from getting closer to Kayelo Ruto. Because Kekera Kaberu chairperson pa African Union definitely is going to sit at Addis. In Addis, every time is taken up by events of Africa, peace and security, Africa, economic transformation, and the rest of it all. So for them, they thought maybe that was like an escape route for Raila, where pu yel Ruto. Many of his supporters, by the way, Malok Kedgima Paul, again, they were not in for that handshake because Gilwani, that was a handshake.
Like a giveaway.
It was like a giveaway, you know, like you succumb to this. But remember, that comes at the time. I know Raila Gubinuki kila dit Ruto Uganda. If you remember, Guru Watekela did President Yoweri Museveni at Kisozi. Ifam Pala did President Yoweri Museveni. Much as Kiwajanik Bieno pa Raila was basically to discuss about the peace and security in South Sudan, Manoki or Nkabere special envoy. But I kind of feel like President Yoweri Museveni Nenchalo go utujo erneu loko Gimabe chi gutemo kabaring the haja.
But Sarah, looking back to Kuopa la date Raila Odinga, what by the first ever vice president of Kenya after independence, you see the rivalry between the Odingas and the Uhurus in Anawim. Luck was not on his side for over how many years? 40 years. Ma anteka BBM and ma pera takameter office, the biggest office of the land. And sadly, he didn't ever clinch to that. Yes, very, very, very sad indeed. But he fought on, Sarah. I think the politics of Kenya is going to shift after the death of Raila, especially in the opposition, because NIA commanding the opposition. And Joma Duonge Wajane, he actually inspired the opposition in Kenya.
So, not only opposition. He inspired Kenya as Kenya.
Yeah.
He inspired Uganda as Uganda. Personally, the Democratic Party, ki ODM, we belong to the same ideology. We are center-right. You understand? So in most cases, once in a while we'll exchange ideas with ODM. And I had a chance also during my leadership academy trainings, one of the trainings, my training in Africa, Kakanyi Kilwani, program for young politicians in Africa. Arwateki young politicians from his political party, ODM. Some of them are serving in the government right now, as I say. And we had a lot to share with them. And Girongo Wacha, how Raila Odinga has been impactful. However, today when I was reading the New Vision papers, Gajeti Mamekwani, the biggest challenge Raila Odinga Tikere is the same challenge that the NRM party, as a party, has today. What do we call? Succession challenge. Because kumbeti NK Nano, Raila Odinga has been for a long time, forming ODM in 2005, if you remember very well, after that referendum. Now, for a long time, after forming ODM up to now, the Orange Democratic Party movement, Pori Fotpe Go Katiki successor. Now, if you look at the NRM also party in Uganda, same thing. Power is centered around President Yoweri Museveni Kaguta as the chairman of the party, or chairperson of the party for that matter. Makumbeti ni, God forbid, ni President Museveni boche aroket mara ila arokere. What is the future of the national resistance movement? Now, that's what people are asking. Future pa ODM tikwara.
Yes, Sarah, you raise a very important issue. Ni Jima Dwong, to Raila Odinga Kumbedi leaves so many questions and lessons to be learned. But pe one be majalo te dero, but why luchu be?
Yes.
His impact, his competitor, what does it mean? Both as a political party and as a country. And pe one ane Kenya ini boba mir one be Uganda be one and we pick a leaf and learn something. So kumbeti Amarne William Samoei Ruto President Kenya year 7 days of mourning. Kitika wachini in kerera chini nkade toy darabe.
But he was good. Raila was never bad.
Yes.
Ine anukema Raila was shaping the economy pa Kenya kere. I got a chance mecher in Kisumu city in 2018-2019. I been in Kisumu I think for almost 2 weeks. And we are watching ka anka neno don Lobomati Kisumu is even far ahead than what is in Kampala right now. You know, and all was because of Raila's advocacy. And for me, girma ana fonye lesson ma ana learning ma ni ajiwachi ni a sayongo niyo makibedi tela in your office ni causing an impact in your society. Ishopo katimu advocacy Mikelu. Mbimunge ma Raila team very significant, but we don't forget. You remember campaign May 2007? After that election,
Mobile very chaotic.
Very chaotic. Where Samuel Ruto himself was a part of Gere Makiter, the ICC incident. He was accused, though of course later on Kinoni he was innocent, but he was accused. Maki Waini gain fueling election violence in Kenya. Now, I happened after so many years after that, in 2018, Raila Odinga accepting presidential handshake. And I was in Kisumu that day when that incident was happening. The Jaluos me Kenya, or Meguma Mekwa Kili Meguma Mekwa me Kenya were not happy. But one of the guys, Maberi Ortegange, Bero Gene Ankopa Gene Pada Waramo Cherker, why do you know? But we need to look at Kenya beyond. In 2007, Lokmoti make a kind, and it was the same Raila Odinga, Maana quelling these things. Now, Ka Raila Kumbeta, okay, fine, we don't want to go back to the past. Let me accept the presidential handshake. It was not because ni Raila was selfish, but Raila looked at the future of Kenya and the young people in Kenya growing and the East Africa at large. Because if I remember, Kinamalwen erupting in Kenya, we're facing a lot of challenges in Uganda. The prices of sugar went so high.
Of fuel?
Fuel went so high.
Never ever went back.
You know, Uganda never went back. Up to now, we are still going, and upwards. Things went upwards,
yes.
You know. Now, you cannot imagine Raila gave up on him and said no. And that is his madam. That is Ida Odinga. Now, Ida Odinga, another story, is another contributor, more contributing. And Kumbeti Dante Waini, could Ida Odinga be the successor of ODM?
Very
because Kiwairima Raila Oberi prison for so many years. She took good care of Lotien Mamege, and she's been shaping the political economy, Meka Kenya.
Sarah, mira kwan loke mo na chiel me wa yakin ping Kenya ini handshake ma Raila tiro ye in a nero message me kuma me aneta among speaker wa me parliament wajo ni Raila on your example ni there can be conversations with people what and is kajo mo kana nero ni kanati opposition there is no any opportunity for dialogue. Odinga set the precedent. It is possible, and let's encourage dialogue. And
that's the politics we are pushing in Uganda. Yes. If you see today, Danutika bombarding Honorable Norbert Mao, paying on my Antika hobnobbing with the government, and so forth and so forth. And Honorable will tell you, look, we have done so many things. He has ever gone to the Kulkulwoni safe houses, whether they're safe, I don't know for that matter. But there has not been no change of leadership in this country. So why Nikumbeti and President Museveni has stayed in power for over 40 years? Can we have a conversation of a transitional power? peaceful transition, that after 2031, what happens next? Now, the kind of politics Mati Kenya is what we're trying kakele in Uganda kumbeti eni. If you see now the iPod summit, kumbeti now and now the likes of Bobi Wine fighting so hard to join the iPod summit because no one now wants to be left behind. Because what in where we are going, Uganda is going to move away from the single party kind of system, and Uganda is going to go forward to formation of coalitions, like you see in Kenya. Normally, every election period, they have coalitions. In only ODM, they sit together with Kanu, or then they form a coalition. My coalition, when okay, for us, we're supporting this one. Then the other coalition, when one were in this camp, you know. So you have 3 presidential candidates, and to know they're like around 4 political parties still under.
Atama is one thing.
So that's what Raila pushed for. Why? Yes, you could have our differences, but and one thing as human beings, and this one I'm telling it especially to my voters in Zombo, your opponent is not your enemy. The opponent, me, Afoichan, is not my enemy at all. She's not. She's not my enemy. She's my opponent. We are competing to serve. Maka ideas, Mamega is better. Yes, so be it. But if my ideas are not okay, but it doesn't mean me, Kangarmo Doctor opponent, Mamega, I cannot. The other time at the iPod summit, I went, we greeted President Yoweri Museveni, I took pictures with him. Does it mean I support NRM? I do not subscribe to NRM totally. But President Yoweri Museveni is a comrade in politics. So at any opportune point in time, we'll have to have a conversation.
The goal is the same, to make Uganda better.
And so that's what Raila and Notika pushing.
Yeah, I like that. Ento marne NIA fronting and jomampaging politics. Manera wajajuini politics make Kenya is way mature than our own politics.
Very true.
And these are the people that shaped the politics. Oladit Baba Raila Amolo Odinga Tibuno Yue Kabero Mekuch. Mete ke nywa kolok ini kit ma ki bi yoko en ke damar afoy to sara ne wa bokolok e kom la dir dinga kono wa mete ni meneno jemo kene duk chen pajo ko ndo kwa nywa pe ko me gang do mo nywa ko me Kenya adir lo ko mbede ki presidential candidates mo kana madwong gitika mete ke bietu kui iken pengiana boro chak olo mafabi tie kumbede Eastern Uganda chagulanje benen tie tu Eastern Uganda Muntu tie Western Uganda President Yoweri Museveni chabiat ene ki mokarne weng obedo i West Nile kama super lady tie besiye kombeti Sara America gamta mi kong la dit lo bobedo rua pakwach nebi environment obedo ni ninke tira kong chalo ngar mo bedo tun kono.
I want to be honest. Amir very very honest the way it is. First of all, la dit lobo binu pajadit sagane West Nile sub-region kasha kumecha echa. Ipakwash aneno jijole maling. Those are the NRM voters. The real this time round penny kono ki fetching voters from districts mokane. No. Those are the actual voters Bamegi and to cry uberotini pingo rally ponkelo tieno. Lotina also voters. Do you know how? These children actually down people should ask me. Lotino Matino campaign ikum iborlo nyoro mamegi for a candidate. Kagimar. Mami a bol quid ni Sara do. Me I have children who know me a lot. Hey, onare badong Sara adongo kado. Number 2, ega me bini nebi. Same thing ebini zombo dano shedo. Of course now, Inca candidate, as a candidate, political candidate, especially for presidential, Kaibe Binu and Itieku political party peri, or Makuyo chairpersons of the sub-counties are mobilizing Dano Gamushedi in the area X to go and campaign. And I hope the same thing is going to happen for Chagulanyi, Mugisha Muntu and the rest when they come to Zombo. But it did. But I think for me, other than that, we need to discuss now the real issue. Because Ebinu, so what? That's a question Madam Apollo Bepenj, Ebinu. And Etiengo Wangwa Mirashel President Museveni, anyway, Nishedi West Nile, in northern Uganda. Etiengo Wangwa Mirashel President Museveni, Nishedo, Izombo district. Kana Shako Kolipa Kwash, Rale Mebedo Kodepa Kwash. Penji mega me penjo dano niya, ube yuako be mitu ngudu no gino ngudu, ene kaji mikure, lonyo mune, ubinu wango. I think for me that was a sarcastic question. Because, Wangeyonia, everything rotates around, goods and services rotates around the roads. Now, in 2021, kainen the NRM manifesto. NRM manifesto was about construction of roads and other infrastructure development. And unfortunately, come 2026, most of those things were not done. So those are some of the unanswered questions. Cheng mi binu kodeka kai during COVID time campaign pen beka timwachi ni ajibifi yungudu kumai otimerengo Zombo district in 2019 President Museveni oshedo kucha me shedo kode iforge pa obemo President Museveni kokome omi promise near by 2021 ngudu nangu jufiyu is Zombo district, but as I say right now Zombo has no colors. That's a reality. Makakwatu Shui, Zombo district is the worst in the country. Kakwatu Shui, you don't feel like you want to be in Zombo. In fact, I think I shared with you a video. One of the sub-counties I was traveling to go for a burial. One of our boda guys had died, so, and he was a friend, so wachidi. Emma amito wachidi ni atush kucha kende kadi kuboda tushungo kutiendi de tushungo kumotukari de tushungo motukari pa government kono motukari pa ngagi cheke umoku. Dano makutien gide wa moku. Makupiki de wa moku. So that is how bad it is, you know.
But Sarah, I mean, I'm an overview of the problems. Permati combating West Nile. Mawati ne Press Digest. Awali mabe ni combating New Vision tika katiki lock mani dano lutedera chela kitika waju. What they want or expect their leaders to do. Leaders in the cuts across from the presidency to the MPs to the LCs. Dana yo yam, dana ya rua. Izombo inerne combating. What do people expect their leaders to do for them?
Amir konka quoting in Maladit President Museveni, wajo mano ti Zombo. Waini kirma NRM government obini itela. Call us no giri Karuma kene. And they extended the call us up to Karuma. No, wajini we have ever since extended it to Gulu. From there to Koboko, from Malaba up to Bondibojo, from Nimule to Kisoro. And that is his responsibilities and roles of a government. I do not think that ni Eramierki, reminding one. Another thing that the president had talked about, the issue of Nebi Zombo Vura Road, has been part of this plan. NYN is a part of this plan. But the biggest question, Machali Penny, ni dano mete der giti metongo. Amir wachini Emma, 85% nyo 90% pa dano mati Zombo district, dano mati Nebi. Specifically Nebi Zombo, jo enigiti agriculturists. Jo enigi 404. Eto 4 majority ka 440 at the subsistence level. Football o mechero to the commercial level like the way you sing in Western Uganda. And it's a very big question. Rotika penyeni okay, 1 matiko 4 eniki subsistence enani me eka chiel kono half eka enani mono. Tira cholo fizi wilatini university. No, it does not do so. You understand? Number 2, pen mokera matek tieni. Other than that, transportation, road network peti mabe. For instance, sub-counties Machalo Zeu, sub-counties Machalo Zeu, yes, Kango, Alangi, Abanga, Aka, all those sub-counties, Maki, Furo, Cham, Extens, and Nyapaya sub-counties. And I think parts of Paida sub-county. Those are areas Maki, Furo, for extensively, and Atiak, extensively Zombo district. Ento road network ma connecting those areas to the district center, commercial center. The district commercial center is Zombo district Paida town council, my hometown council. Ka o kijemi erani kununi erani can even take you 3 days on a day that it has rained. Avocado padano no tika top ka kenyu erani. Labolo padano tika top ka kenyu erani. Cabbages, perishable goods, chalo cabbages, dek machol and wentika top. And yet we have a local market in South Sudan, Matichok Kedwa, Watiki DRC, Watiki Giren, then we have a neighboring Acholi sub-region, Laon sub-region, and then Karamoja sub-region. By now, Zombo district could have been one of the districts in Uganda boasting highly as a result of having a high income level. Number 2, Mukena TNE, revenue maaki Zombo district, and I'm yet to find out. Mirko wagena from the URA. Chilia di ma Zombo district, Miyuki, Uganda, in terms of mutoka makarchar keri Congo. Every day trailers makaro piera rio. Tika karo, matika chero, to Congo. Makaro via border me Padea Town Council, going to DRC. Kubes kumbeti, and either you use Goli, custom, or you use Padea. And most of the trailers prefer Goli, Padea Town Council, and that is in Zombo district. Now, if you have very bad roads, and these trailers, to go and sell in Congo, to export in Congo. Maguri Timaraj. So how are you going to get money? Return back. Because you're talking about the GDP any aki kwere, chente any gross economy aki kwere. Aki and chente ma inoni gitika transporting goods and services, eroka guru peraj. So well aka yotutual keep la paint for President Yoweri Museveni, kake mi yuguru teko tamani Uganda, utamani ububere mabe. And I was so very disappointed with the NRM leaders. All they went was to parade themselves, dance there, and don't tell the president the truth, the plights of people. I'm sorry to say it.
Look, watching a campaign, ponki miel keken.
I mean, as in like we have the entire campaign, but NRM has just been about dancing, miel. Is that what you want? I saw my opponent, my woman MP, dancing as if everything is okay in Zombo. Kumbeti loti enoti gangongo. So the actual issue, anatamani President Yoweri Museveni, peroniti achel. Lutela ma entikere in his party cannot tell him the truth. Petika wacheni la dear President Museveni. Pero matika yelo, inge na malu NRM choli kilo gwara. Lu NRM choli kilo gwara kilang for them they call a spade, not a big spoon. Chencha the chairperson me NRM me aruwa wajiki la dear President Mr. Drate waine la dear President. But of course that guy was in UID, he was trained by the Democratic Party in Makerere. So no wonder he spoke his mind. Why la dear President? One gear binu kakany enni bear. And to come here wamini kui ben we want ABCD to be done. Number 2, one gear wabichware ento jo enni yo NRM cadres mako kwala kuya kwala enni in the NRM primaries. Po abi miyongo. So for him it was open, but for us in Zombo, we go watch Jimmy pinchake tema bear. It's so unfortunate.
Sarah, itamba megi nero why the upper districts may Lu sub-region Charles Zombo Kitunku Malo Kuya have been neglected because
they have been neglected.
Nero in terms of the road infrastructure actually are not happy.
At least you're okay.
You tema bear.
Yeah.
Okay, Binotung Eastern Uganda bena you tema bear. So in why Zombo is long overdue. I don't know. I think even Arua is not that bad.
Arua is not bad.
So Tunkwija why it has been neglected intentionally. KJ.
Zombo district has been neglected intentionally. For me, that's my opinion. Because first of all, what does Zombo offer on table? Mamu 7 bino keri lum. Who was Zombo? Who was Nebi? Who was? I mean, those are the questions you have to ask. Ma President Yoweri Museveni bino keri actually contributed. You remember the issue of Tito Kelo Lutwa, how President Yoweri Museveni overthrowing Keri government mochi Keri Lum. The Tito Kelo Lutwa is gukonyo, President Yoweri Museveni kaguta. Mabe tutwala, and that's a fact. Ma without fear of favor, Museveni normally gives that credit to actually mekonye. Now, in where penye kumbeti eni, ngomu where mono ngomu where mono team me greater nebu mir guchwak, NRM to the extent manika jemiti maraj bene pegit where lo. What did they contribute? Where nirma penyo, in kango sabkana penyo ni ewunu ikindano pierare we abiro magimaka tu magichidi lum kujadi President Museveni nwanga lur moko bedu tie kinde ubedu pe nyo wuna ngotima ngoni mokonyo kule nyo sene moko mi ubedu pe. So for me I think ladit wine after all anyway what number 2 negotiation powers lutela palu pegging yoka negotiating alu naturally gemira wine gi war ban moro pe war. Luoro is not war. That's one thing I have to tell them off. Luoro puberu war. So you think that for you, ni ian kaberu subordinate, ni tamu nikibiti mijemi. Kiswahili waini tunapenda wapingamizi kabisa. Kwani mtoto ambaye kwa mpingamizi ndio unasaidia. Latin mada PM, ena ikang, itimungo, ikonyo, inketiki lutina rio. Achiel mawi rachutu wale kigangkwana, mene mikonyo yor. Kwa enena kong ene kong, ko, dingo ikozi ngene bobale. Now for us in Zombo, yes, it is okay to support NRM. I have no problem with the NRM party because at Farol we are under multi-party political dispensation. Ebedo tuwera pangati mokushini bedu i political party pa NRM nyonup nyangwani. Enkere miti a political party pa NRM ere. pi oro e rundi ezo ike penjire dengo ware pirangoni ma President Museveni jibe washa ile ngole manda.
But Sarah, I don't know why any is not valid reason enough because contribution a West Nile be and therefore we shall delay infrastructure development. Atamo kade dugu chung mebe la tela kerangar mone chuare onyo ko yendong you're representing the people and you're serving everyone as a whole. So there has to be explanations lokme infrastructure development that brings the likes of you people on board. Mene fronting infrastructure, especially lokme good, because good edong is a gateway to development.
Exactly. Because kanik Emma, kanik inwangi ket schools adi izombo district. Schools eni mibe ketu juru nyode beshinda ngosene nine di misholo fizi pa wiyanegi. Ineno? Ariyo, juru nyodo eni binu wango sende misholo fizi pa wiya eni nuangu ngudu tiye maleng, gibetero avuka migi soki pa yida, gibetero avuka migi isoko mi gine isoko mi kauna kamdini kakani gisheke nyacholi bu kakwene weng. Gigam nuango sende mugam cholo fizi niya wiya migi. So for me, much as kumbeti eni wabe watching ya wami to school dongutie, managing podi abedu tiye yatiak sub-county. And you akmutie, you ketu atiak sidutie, yes, government eketa, and we thank them for that. But, you know, for us as Democrats, we give credit where it's due. Kama you ketu school utie, yes, but the biggest challenge ma wechu ko juru nyodu. Pawiya magi some school echa juru nyodu wanya. School you ketu fees itie selling elf dakar yo sede ne wan kan wajuru shan Maka umaku water shamwa isoko de ngudutie marach. Donka wateru kawa mwa isoko de wabel waro kawa ngo. Wachulu fees pawiya ni nedi. In the long run, there is a low turn up in the schools because jurunyodu pe kusene micholo fizi. So for me, I think as we argue out, the same thing to the health sector. Yes, itieko health center. Imeto upgrading by the health center health center to health center 4. That's okay. Imeto district hospital. That's okay. Now, kadong tuo goyo ema maraj kurisharo. Charlie zeu, God forbid, tuo goyo Sara. Maraj kurisharo izeu. O makiter Sara ilar Sara I odiat. To the extent ma ambulance debe moking gudu maranyo. Sara beshi tongwe wanga yo. Metu shinge odiat. So we need, right now in Zombo district, the biggest challenge ma Zombo tie kode, and that even if President Museveni watch ni alembe pangudu jibine in 2026, that's the same thing President been watch mana cheng do ngudu jigambe fi ngodo. For me and Sarah here, penje mabe penjere niya. How sure am I? Ngudu negi no. Ineno? Enigi. How sure am I?
For a producer Chen.
What for you? And in some of the some of the roads you can really see. Now, an penji paragama penjire, how sure am I near lembe meu shikiri pare eni beshiti miranda 2026. Eni juki yango, eni juki yado.
And it in a lorry trucks.
Ineno lorry trucks. Eni zo muchi dumani zongo. Kukongo. Ineno, eni juki yado, juki ya hill.
And you know, to make it worse, Sarah, Zombo is a mountainous area.
Yes.
Maberewa, it reminds me of the Elgon area in Bale.
Yes.
So the heavy rains, ki mountains, ki muddy area, kadon paki yubo guriba, wachaka wenyeje machalo mukpapeng, mudslides.
Exactly.
In Zombo, Kenya. So I think in the issues, so much work needs to be done to twale board, for twale producer Chan. Mekele iwa video and trucks.
So some can in trucks Emma 12 vurjukia can for 4 days even. Wang maka ka ching mo biro manok do ka do to do ka dong dungi cha ka dong ka war. Aya now they leave Jukia another bad area tigere around Goli te got Goli ka Kenya enemy is terrible. Let me tell you, yes, one eno chingcha Honorable Fiona Nyamutoro be celebrating pi ngudu 16 kilometers mamigi maji meshifiu from Jukia to Guinea to Casta Migoli. Kadong Esther for your channel gamo I watch it parliament on the floor wanya. This is like an insult to the people of Zombo district. It's not an insult. You have been in the parliament for 4 solid years and you've not been advocating for this. Actually, the reason that's why Giweche Lemecha because Ashida Mako video Pangudu matongtong ku bridges matongtong marechu. Now you talked about Ngudu. How about the bridges? Ingeyo near the bridge mafuri Zombo district beti yuko up to now tiya bridges either jugine irundi po bote nyo bridges majiketi irundi pa gine the former chairman Alenyo, may his soul rest in eternal peace. Manango by then Nebi was still Nebi. Now, up to now, we don't have effective bridges. Majuke to Maber. Moku machinganero chairman LC5 ikitemo kaketu. Send the majisha machama de less. So Emma, a lot has to be done.
So much has to be done. Wataka nyako lock me chumi be to twale ward paladit lo kabiru kui West Nile mubere chabir mukara district me pakwaj roa ki nebi ngoma mir ki team me lakila laga pidano me West Nile tika boka loka kanywa ket super lady Sarah Dong amiro yuyo manaka wadugu miro gamchima megi in konotamiti kwile megwa magi ake West Nile enene chera paladit lo ubukila laga 26 kijeko you pay don kila penyi kichim ki contribution mamege wakwa gam kawadugo ki we ene
Nong miet paluok kitabun mamonya doku kilanzo luxury bathing soap. Yeki kwene mapat chalawai mentho antibacterial, ice cool, blueberry, coconut kishea butter kidong raspberry. Mogi ken mayero wego del komidong maleng kon weri no miet paluok kichawa duju. Lanzo luxury bathing soap, the ultimate refreshing feel. Luchatone aye chapa General Enterprises ginong edukan number deki Rafik building Ichiko